Hi everyone, Jeremiah here. Welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable, episode 2. And in this episode, we'll be talking about how to reinvent yourself to become a property entrepreneur. Before we get into the episode, let's do some quick introductions in case you've missed episode 1. So, starting with Jaden.
Obviously, my name is Jaden. I'm CEO of JP Infinity Property, where I'm an investment broker and investor.
Perfect. Reese.
My name's Reese. I have a company called Stevens Real Estate where I assist investors to find profitable investment opportunities, whether that be buying, rent-to-rent opportunities. We cover it all.
Perfect. And of course, I'm Jeremiah. I'm a luxury real estate agent working with luxury property partners, and we help to sell £1 million plus homes. Let's get into it. So, first of all, in this episode, let's talk about mindset and motivation. So, question for you guys: how important is mindset in reinventing yourself for a new career path?
It's the foundation, man. Yeah, you can't do nothing without having the right mind to go. You're not going to go far without it. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
You need to have that foundation. Because this entrepreneurship game, I think in any entrepreneurship game, if you don't have that resilience, you're gonna get beaten to the floor, man. So you just have to keep going. Really, you were said about that.
That's real, man. That's real. Mindset. In terms of jumping into entrepreneurship, from typical 9 to 5, it's a big change. You've got the way of structure. You have to create structure for yourself. You have to be a self-starter. You know what I mean? You don't have anybody to lean on, bosses to order you what to do. You've got to be able to organize your own routine, your own life, and get things done. So I think it's super important, man. You have to be very self-disciplined, very self-motivated, and these things don't always come naturally to people, but they are things that you can learn and develop, which is the benefit.
Yes, it's difficult when you are your own boss and your own employee as well. And a lot of people think that if you are an entrepreneur, then you can just take it easy, wake up late, kind of live life on your own terms. But I think more often than not, you're much busier than that.
I was gonna say that.
And there's not enough hours in a day, basically, to kind of get through all your tasks. What key motivations should someone have to pursue property entrepreneurship?
I think the main thing is everybody's why is going to be different. And I think anyone that's coming into entrepreneurship, whether that's in property or any sort of space, you need to have a strong why. I think that's something that's paramount into doing something. Why do you wake up in the morning? Why do you need this amount of money? What's it for? Because you can get so used to being doing something every single day, and most people do. You wake up, go to job, and they just kind of have no kind of plan. But that why is the foundation as to why are you going to wake up in the morning? Or why are you going to that networking event? What does it lead to? Does it help you? Does it help is it for your family? Is it to make your have a better future? What is the reason you need it? Is it to pay for some medical? It could be anything. Do you know what I mean? But you need to have that foundation on why. That's just paramount in entrepreneurship. Or else you're just going to be lost.
Yeah, that's true. And if you don't have a clear motivation to start with entrepreneurship or something that really keeps you going in order to pursue your goals, I think it's definitely worth sitting down with yourself and exploring that. And I encourage people to check out Dean Graziosi, who talks about 7 levels deep.
Yeah.
So just ask yourself, if there's something that motivates you, for example, if you say to yourself, I want to make money, that's why I want to be successful, then you need to ask yourself, why do you want to make money?
Exactly.
And then go deeper than that, until you get to the root. And it's a really emotional experience. But then when you kind of realize what your true why is, that is the thing that really keeps you motivated, especially as an entrepreneur.
The journey of an entrepreneur is a journey of learning about yourself. Fundamentally, that's what it is. as an entrepreneur, you have so many ups, downs. You go through long stints of not earning any money. You go through the ups where you are earning money much more than someone. I guess your earning capacity can be higher as an entrepreneur, but at the same time, you have to be, you have to have a bigger appetite for risk, which is where it leads into, you might go long stints where you've made no money, you might put a lot of money into something, and it just doesn't come off. So you have to have, a tough, thick skin, and that's why for you to go through all of that, your why is crucial. You're not doing that for no reason. You won't last. You won't last.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when it comes to the kind of financial setbacks that you have to endure when you start off with property. This is something that we'll explore later on in the episode. But it's definitely something that kind of holds people back because they're very used to having like a stable income. As just like a 9 to 5, you know that you're going to get paid by the end of the month. Your bills are paid, whatnot. But yeah, it's really hard to find that, especially when you know that's going to come with some financial hardship. So in terms of setbacks, how do you stay motivated and focused in the face of setbacks?
I think with setbacks, it's one
Got
of
something to
those
say, bro. Get off your chest, bro.
Tell us, bro. Tell us.
Listen, bro, I had my fair share, man. But with setbacks, it's all about having the wider vision as to why you started in the first place. If you don't have that to anchor you back, then you're gonna give up. You're gonna, bow out and just say this is too tough. I can't do it. You need to have that wider vision of cool. Well, I've had the setback here. First thing is try and understand why, what has happened wrong, so that you can combat it better next time. And then actually make sure you take the action that's necessary to combat it effectively, so you don't fall back again. And that's the key. It's that simple. It's that black and white. And obviously, to a lot of people, it's it's not as simple as that, but it really is. Literally, it is that simple. But it's not easy, and that's what people need to be prepared for with the journey of entrepreneurship. Setbacks happens every day, man. Exactly.
And in general, just rejection, like daily rejection, is something that we face quite a lot. And as a human being, as an individual, no one likes to be rejected.
It's all ego, isn't it?
It's all ego,
It's
like,
all ego.
and it's not that you have a big ego. It's just like every individual person feels some sort of way when you get rejected, but you need to kind of overcome that. And I think there's only one way to overcome rejection, is to just get acclimatized to it, where you're just used to rejection to the point where it doesn't really faze you anymore. And a lot of entrepreneurship is about molding you, as you said before, kind of discovering who you are as a person. But yeah, in terms of personal growth, like, there's no better way to kind of experience that growth but through entrepreneurship.
And bro, on rejection, touch on all of our experiences in terms of what we do as sources, yourself as a luxury estate agent. Bro, deep amount of rejection that we face in order to get something over the line, bro. Is without rejection, we can't get the end goal. So that's why it's so crazy that you have to actually flip the perception of rejection on its head and actually go after rejection. Like when I first started and I was making these calls to landlords and agents trying to build relationships, trying to get their properties onboarded, bro, I was actually aiming for no's in order to basically acclimatize myself to the feeling of cool. This is normal. This is cool. This is calm. I'm aiming for 20 no's a day. If I don't get 20 no's, I'm upset. If you aim for a higher amount of no's, then you're gonna get more yeses inherently. So like you have to get used to that, especially in property entrepreneurship. 100%.
It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. And going back to what you said about kind of like having the setback to mold you into the entrepreneur, the way I see it as well is failure is feedback. So like whenever you're making mistakes, whenever you're doing something, like failure is necessary. And people think like, oh, you can't fail in a business. Like no, like the journey, you're supposed to fail. Like obviously you can, manage the risk of what failure does to you in it. No one wants to come bankrupt out here, but you know what I mean. But managing failure is literally what separates another person that's been successful and another person ain't. Because so some person may take the failure and it robs them, but that other person may take that failure as feedback. Okay, if this is not working, I've done this for X amount of time and it's not working, what can I do to pivot and into success? and that failure is something that allows you to adapt, and that's what it is. I think again this goes back into adaptation. How quick can you adapt to the setbacks and failure? Because the core of being an entrepreneur is, you know, having solutions. If you don't have solutions to your own problems, how are you going to solve someone else's problems?
Exactly.
So that's what
There's a quote by Michael Jordan. I don't think he needs any introduction, but I love this quote. It says, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed."
Boom.
It's powerful.
Boom.
So you need to go through that rejection or failure in order to propel yourself to the next level. And on that note, I think there's a good book. Have you guys read Go for No? Or heard of it, maybe?
Nah, I haven't heard of
I've
it.
listened to it.
You need to put that on your
Go for No.
on your TBR list. But yeah, great book. But essentially touches on the main points that you were talking about. Kind of going for no's. Like, for example, 30 no's in a day. To really kind of callous your mind and ensure that you kind of set yourself up for success in the future. Okay, perfect. So moving on to education and skills development. It's a very broad topic, but a very crucial one when it comes to entrepreneurship. So, question for you guys. What essential skills are needed to succeed in property entrepreneurship?
Essential skills. Again, we touched on some of it against having the right mindset. But as for skills, if I can go back onto my journey, I think this whole season where I'm in my life in terms of it probably is just being adaptable. You have to be able to be adaptable and think on your feet and be spontaneous at times, because with this game, it's not like a 9 to 5 where you may have a rigid, every day could be different, and you're dealing with people, different people, and you know, some person may be easygoing, one investor may be you know, not as easygoing, and that could be due to, you know, the experiences and whatnot. So, and then there's so many people, but you can imagine so many people involved in certain deals. You have to be adaptable, or else, like, you know, one thing is not always going to be, you know, making the other thing fit. Not, I think it's the case of not every shoe fits. Do you know what I mean? So definitely, yeah, adaptable.
Piggybacking off the back of that, I think it all just comes down to being able to be a good communicator.
Bro.
You know, they often say property is a people's game. You know, the more people you meet, the more deals you can get done. You need to be able to be an effective and accurate communicator. And you need to be able to be adaptable as well. You know, learn how to communicate with different types of people. Because again, like Jaden said, you're speaking with different people daily. You know, like, this is something that is going to make or break the business you do. It's going to form people's opinions on you as a businessman, as an individual. They're going to look at you as like, okay, Reece, yeah, he treated me well, he spoke to me correctly, he responded promptly. You know, these are all important things as to the perception that people build on you and whether they're going to do repeat business with you. So it's key to be a good communicator, I think.
And even like being effective with your communication, but also replying on time as well, I think is a big thing. Like, for example, I was in touch with a mortgage broker a few weeks ago, and I sent an email or a reply to one of his emails late at night. I think it was like around 11 p.m. And he just responded straight away after I sent that. And in my mind, like as someone who's still speaking to other brokers, immediately I'm like, I want to work with this person because he's just on it. And yeah, I think that is very much appreciated in this day and age where obviously there's a lot of people promoting their services online and in different groups, different networking areas. So just replying on time as well, it's a big thing.
Exactly. It's the small things. Even like communication more generally, I didn't even touch on the whole networking side of it. You know, to bring you more business when you go out to do different events, you need to be able to communicate effectively, communicate confidently, be able to portray yourself in the best way, put your best foot forward. These are all important, crucial things that are going to propel your business in the next level.
And there's so many other skills. Like, I could spend a whole episode talking about all these skills, but I think some of the key ones are problem solving. As an entrepreneur, there's a lot of problems that arise throughout the day. So having the ability to address them and resolve issues quickly and effectively is key. And you need to sometimes think creatively in order to overcome certain challenges. So is there, like, has there been a time for you where you've had a problem that's arisen and you just needed to kind of attack it quickly, effectively?
I know it sounds like, this guy
just before this podcast
like
as
it's hard, but no, listen,
every day, bro.
every day there's a problem, and I guess it's like you get used to it. And I'm not trying to scare people that want to get into property. Listen, there's rewarding elements to it, and it's fun. Do you know what I mean? Don't get twisted. It's fun. It's just you have that, again, going back to what we said, have the right mindset and outlook into it, and be like, cool. And there's nothing better, which you probably all can agree, is when there's a problem and you've overcome that problem.
Yeah.
Because you're no longer the person that you were yesterday. You've evolved. So there's little small things. So, an example that I could give. You have to get back to me, innit? There's too many in it, but
we'll give you like 2 minutes.
Give me 2 minutes. I'll come back to you because this.
Reese, anything that comes to mind?
I'm really trying to think myself. Problems that come up. I mean, there can be different scales of problems. There can be like problems that are more insignificant, and problems that are like large. So I think of one that's a bit more interesting.
I think the main thing that comes up to me in the fan side is communication breakdown.
Yeah.
So as we've touched on with communication, where you as a person, so with our job as deal sourcers or investment brokers, there could be multiple parties involved. So as there's multiple parties involved, you are responsible for being the middleman, essentially, and getting information across, communication across, and make the deal work. That can cause problems because you have to depend on the other side of the party as well. So again, oftentimes it's very hard to make everybody happy, and especially negotiations. And again, some people may have long replies, another party can get frustrated, and it's about how do you mediate between the two. And I think out of probably the job role that I get, that's probably one of the main issues I face a lot. It's kind of mediating and making sure everybody's happy, whether it's a landlord or it's an investor. You got to make sure their needs on both sides are met, and sometimes that can be difficult depending on the person. So I'll definitely say that's the problems that I face pretty much a lot.
And you mentioned negotiation, which I think is a very key skill to have as a property entrepreneur, if not one of the main ones. So what would you say is constitutes a great or expert negotiator?
This guy's king of negotiation.
He's good.
That's a big title.
Before you said negotiation, I was going to figure out what you said and talk about negotiation, bro.
Yeah.
It's pivotal. That's literally the problem that I thought about when I had the time. I said, it's probably if a landlord says they want X and my client said they want this and they're not budging from this, otherwise the deal's done.
Yeah.
You're in the middle like, cool, well, I want to secure my bag. I don't know where I secure my bag. If I get this landlord to change his mind, or I get this investor to maybe just be a bit more easy and come round. So it's like, cool, you got to think about, cool, I'm going to go to the landlord and firstly become an active listener, right? The key to negotiation is not about blabbing and talking at them. You need to open up the question and let them talk, and don't talk yourself. Listen, take in what they're saying, be an active listener, and then ask the right questions subsequently. I think for me, for example, I might just ask the landlord, look, listen, what's your priority here? Something so open like that where they can actually fully divulge to me what it is that they're really seeking. With that information, I can then go back to my client and be like, listen, this is what the landlord really prioritizes here. He just wants a strong company, something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's not necessarily about the price. Say, for instance, a situation where the landlord's got a few offers on the table. You're looking to table an offer that's a little bit less than he's asking, and he's got a higher offer. However, his priority is a strong company that's going to make sure that they take care of his property correctly.
Long
Yeah.
time.
So as opposed to trying to outbid this other client, you can go a bit lower, but as long as you've got the financial and the experience to back it, he'll be inclined to go with you. So it's all about being a listener, understanding of a person's priorities,
Yeah.
and going off that basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say.
I think essentially with negotiation, you need to effectively kind of liaise between buyers, sellers, and other stakeholders. But ultimately, the ability to close deals is what makes like a person a great negotiator.
Yeah.
You need to be able to move the conversation forward, and as you said, listen out and ask the right questions in order to kind of move it forward basically.
Yeah, and even going one more thing, it's like I feel another hat we wear when we're doing these sort of things is it's consultation. You know, we're also consulting because whilst you're negotiating with, say, an investor or the owner or a landlord, then you're having to consult with your client the best ways to move forward into this deal. Because as much as you know, we think the deal's finished, our job is okay. The deal's gone, we're kind of gone. It's kind of there's no point making the deal go through unless it's long lasting because it gives reflection on you, and that is a statement of your consultation and how to make sure you have this relationship moving forward from the deal.
Yeah.
So again, consultation, being able to again, this major key, listen and hear and kind of express that in consultation form to your client is literally, I think that's what separates a lot of people in this game. You know what I'm saying? Some people think it's just a deal. Hear what the client says, hear what the person that owns the property is saying, and consult both. And then I think they have a bigger respect for you, make sure your company just go skyrocket.
And if you're not a great negotiator, then the downsides could be that you're leaving a chunk of money on the table,
Easy.
or deals are falling through because you're not actively listening and you're not effectively communicating with the relevant parties. So it's a very crucial skill to have, and I would definitely recommend to the listeners out there to pay attention to kind of increase your knowledge on negotiation and learn about how you can improve your negotiation skills. What can you say about time management?
Man, where do I start? Time management is important, man, because like we discussed earlier, as an entrepreneur, there's no one set out your day. There's no one telling you start at 9. If you're not in by 9, you're getting fired. You get what you put in, basically. So if you want to start your day at 12, you can do that, and no one's gonna get you in trouble or anything. But at the end of the day, on the back end, you're not gonna be able to push your business further. So time management is key in the sense that you need to be able to be organized enough to set appropriate time for each task that you need to do. For myself, I have a priority list of non-negotiable tasks that I do every day without fail. I have tasks that I leave space for the ones that are like more adaptable, because like you said, in the business that we're in, things come and go. So I kind of like time block for things like that. And then you have the things that are like lower level tasks, admin stuff, set aside time for that as well. So if you don't do that, you're going to end up not doing the things that you need to do to propel your business. And you're not going to have that much success. So you need to be able to manage your time better. It's key.
Yeah.
It's key.
For sure.
I'll just add on to that. This literally, you said it perfectly. Again, the thing about time is, and then it's that kind of cliche thing, time is money, do you know or not? But what a lot of people don't realize is that, like, there's only so much time in a day, and then the kind of the people say, we have the same 24 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, don't listen to the man, do not listen to
Let's just edit that.
Because I feel, again, another thing about time management is balance. Because again, for people who want to get into entrepreneurship, when I first started out, it was just, all right, cool. I was going to be realistic with my time, and I'd be like, I'm wake up at 6 in the morning, I'm going to start work at 7:30, and go work until 12-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, and it's just like, all right, take it easy. That's why time management is important. So you have the week, and it's like, all right, cool, maybe one day focus on this task, one day focus on this task, and then obviously subtask, break it down within hours. But be realistic. You're gonna want food. You're gonna want to go out. You're gonna need to, and whether your way of winding down, seeing your friends, going out, going to the gym, going for a run, put those into it, because and what will happen, because if you don't and you don't get the tasks done without the day, you're gonna have this bad feeling like, oh, I didn't tick off that list. Because you weren't realistic with yourself.
Sounded a bit too relatable.
Yeah.
But these are the problems that every entrepreneur has, though. Because
Yeah.
the reason we chose to go down the entrepreneurial route is because we're so driven, we're so hungry, we're so determined. So it's like we're setting out like a schedule for a day that is not realistic for a human being. We're neglecting, time with family, time with friends, and that's why the entrepreneurship journey is lonely, bro. They always say it. It's like it's a lonely journey because you don't have the time to link up with your friends and go out for drinks on the weekend and go out to parties and motives. You don't have the time because you've got bigger priorities. So you need to be realistic with yourself, and you need to allow yourself to have an outlet. Otherwise, it's only going to negatively affect your business and your productivity in the long run anyways.
Yeah. But it doesn't have to be lonely. If you go to a networking event, surround yourself with the right people. Check out episode 1. Echoing what you guys said, time is super important. I recommend time blocking as well. I think that's super effective, at least for me. But ultimately, you want to find out what works for you in terms of how you want to organize your day and what goals and tasks you're setting throughout the week. Moving on, we're still talking about education and skill development. So it's a hot topic. So it's going to be an interesting one in the comments. But what kind of courses would you recommend when starting out in property, or how would you say you would start out your property journey, learning about property?
Okay, that's a good question. I don't think, I'm gonna be real, you can do as many courses as you want, you can pay whoever you want about the course, but ultimately it's always going to be down to you meeting someone and doing it. For me, I went on certain courses and it wasn't necessarily because the information is out there.
Yeah.
If you want to know about property, it's there with the internet. We're in 2024, then YouTube, you can find the information. You can probably ask a friend to send you certain things. But what I realized is that it wasn't about the course that I did. It was more about the people that I meet that pushed me forward. Yeah. So again, similar situation. I met you guys at networking event, and even though I thought I was going for the course, it's literally the people that I met that have propelled me to go to a certain direction. So I think it's about go for the course, but really it's the people that you meet that are on the same journey, or someone that's ahead of your journey, that you can just basically build healthy relationships with them and grow, and that's the best way to learn about it.
No, honestly, I think like more than anything for myself, obviously when you select who you like to get educated with, it's important to do your due diligence, make sure that they actually have done what you want to do. I think that's the most important thing.
100%.
Past that, I'd say that people who are looking to get involved in property, like Jaden said, the knowledge is all out there on the internet for free. But when it comes to paid courses, etc., I think people need to flip their mindset on how they perceive it. They usually probably perceive it as a cost. Oh, that's so much money. But I'm not gonna spend that on that. I could save this and go on holiday. As opposed to a cost, you should need to see it as an investment in yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's gonna pay you back tenfold if you apply what you learn on the course. Like he said, just from meeting one person alone, you can gain X 100 times return on investment. Secondly, I think what was important for me when I've spent a lot of money on some courses, etc., is the actual sign to myself that like I am serious about this. I mean, if I'm putting down X amount of money down for a course, handshaking, bro, I will wait there, handshaking, but listen, when you put in crazy emotions are racing, but when you're putting down that amount of money for whatever it is, it's a sign to yourself that please, you're serious, you back yourself, you're committed, bro. So that's what people need. A lot of people want to dilly-dally, ask people for help, how do you do this, want to borrow your time as opposed to invest in themselves. Do you know what I mean? It's a backwards way to go around it, because you want to lean on a man, ask him 100 questions. How much of it are you going to implement? that's why sometimes you need to put the money down. So it's like,
Yeah.
cool, I've got
So true.
I've got an anchor to actually need to make this work. You need to have that.
100%. And I hear so many people say that all courses are a scam. Like if you're charging for a course, then like you're scamming people. It should be free. It should be out there. But the same people don't really appreciate the free knowledge as well.
Yeah, it's facts.
And as you say, it's a commitment. What I would suggest is if you're starting out, if you want to learn about property, there's so much content out there on YouTube, free content. Go explore what it means to be a property entrepreneur and the different strategies as well. Go do your research. If you find a mentor that you resonate with, then you can explore mentoring opportunities. I think it's definitely worth getting a mentor. But of course, do your research, your due diligence. But yeah, just constantly have that mindset where you want to absorb knowledge. I think that's key above everything else.
Yeah.
And then also implementing it as well.
Yeah, man.
But that's the main thing. So there's no point of soaking up all this knowledge and not using it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would recommend.
Need to be an action taker.
Exactly. So final question before we move on to finances, which is a big topic. But yeah, how would you stay updated with the latest trends and regulations in the property market?
How do I stay updated to it? So,
Yeah.
again, who I follow. So, you know, it's very important. I know social media, but, you know, who you follow is what you're going to get, what you're going to consume. So, I stay updated by just following certain people based on the information they give. For example, if I want to know about what's happening in homes for the luxury real estate, I'll go on your page. Always updating.
Feel free to follow me.
You know what I mean?
Shameless plug.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The plug. If there's certain things about brokerage or mortgage, I'll follow them to be like, I'm going to need you in the future. I'm going to listen to you. And if, you know, and these people are people, so I'll send a message. And if you have to pay for the information, I have to pay for the information. If sometimes they're free to, you know, provide me information, then I do that. But that's how I pretty much stay updated, just constantly watching or consuming content in relation to what I do.
Yeah, I think it's, for me, my way of consuming this kind of information is, funny enough, we're recording a podcast, but I listen to a lot of property podcasts. I think my thing is, like, I'm a big, like, YouTube guy. I'm not really like a Netflix guy. I like to listen to, like, you know, content where it's podcasts regarding property. For me, that's digestible. Whereas if I'm looking at the news, The Guardian, for me, it's too much words. I can't really...
Too much writing.
Too much writing.
Wanting it condensed in a video format.
I can't digest it. I need to listen to people like me talking about the subject that I'm interested in. Cool format, chilled out. Basically what we're doing, innit? So, yeah, that's how I absorb our content, really.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, same. Just go out there, go online, and there's information out there. Just follow certain people on Instagram. It's not that hard to find big property pages where they're giving constant updates. But yeah, there's so many ways to consume information these days. Okay, so the final kind of point of discussion for this episode is financial considerations. So as property entrepreneurs, when you're starting out, there is some capital that you need to kind of begin your journey. Of course, as a deal sourcer, for example, you don't need too much money to start off. There's a lower barrier to entry as compared to other models. But you still need some finances. And of course, I think time is the biggest thing. So when you're starting out, you need to dedicate a lot of time before you actually see some deals being sold and seeing the money in your bank. So first question, how do you manage the financial transition from your previous career to property entrepreneurship?
Jamie gives that noise for me. Nah, you know what it is? I think it's all about applying the logic, right? Everyone's circumstance and situation is different. You know, it's very important to firstly make sure you are fully clued up and understand everything that you would be jumping into before you jump into it, right? So, for instance, if you're working a job, a well-paid job, and you have, you know, the drive to become a property entrepreneur,
Mm.
then it's all about timing, right? It's not something where you're gonna wake up tomorrow and go, "Well, say I'm done." I think that's a bit of a blood rush kind of kind of movement. It needs to be something which is planned out, and you're basically phasing out what you're doing, because you know that when I leave this job, I've got something, I've got a platform, right? I think that's important, man. Don't leave yourself high and dry. I mean, some people have, and they do well for it because their back is against the wall in that situation. So I guess it depends on your risk appetite and what way inclined you are as well. But I think just as a general rule, logically, don't leave yourself without before jumping into something like property entrepreneurship, because like we've all endured, experienced, you can go long stints without earning money at the start, because it's a learning process at the start. You can't come into property entrepreneurship thinking you're going to start making money straight away. It doesn't work like that.
It's not a get rich quick scheme,
Not at all.
as many people think.
You know what I'm saying? Not at all. So you need to be prepared for that phase. So usually what I would say is maybe just make sure you have some kind of capital behind you before you kind of jump into it.
So if you don't mind sharing, like, how was that process for you when you kind of transitioned into like a full-time deal sourcer?
I mean, for myself, I come from a legal background, so I previously worked in a property law firm, and I'd actually dabbled in entrepreneurship before anything property related anyways. So I had an online business, some of you might have heard of it, Amazon FBA, selling products online, which was doing pretty well. So I had that platform, that foundation, and then when I was working my job in a property law firm, and I realised that my interest lies a lot more property rather than law. Started doing my research, started finding who I wanted to get educated with, and I did it. Took the plunge to leave my job, my full-time job. But I was able to do that because I had the platform of what I was earning from my e-commerce business. So the transition was a lot more smooth. Where I was going through that period where I wasn't making any money in property learning, I still had the platform of income. So I think that was my personal experience going into entrepreneurship.
Jaden?
Yeah, like very similar to Reese. Previous to this, I've always been an entrepreneur. Since I left uni, so I'm actually creative. And just for people out there, you think you're creative, you can't get into property, you definitely can. So I have a video production business, and essentially I already had that kind of free time, essentially, because obviously creative work, you get booked out every single day. At times it could be like 2-3 shoots a month or something like that, so it's very spread out, so you kind of do have quite a bit of free time, whether it's to work on your business or whatever. So I thought it would be good to have a second income getting into property. But going into the journey in property, again, very similar to Reese, that held me down. The video held me down for a while. It was good to lean on a certain amount of income getting into it, because if I didn't, I would have to be finished. I think for me, I don't even mind sharing, from learning into property, it took me, I was very lucky. The first 3 months I was able to get a deal, but after that it took me now 3 or 4 months again. So imagine that, I don't know, depending on what situation, you could be renting, you could have a mortgage. If you're not paying the bills, then if you just left your job high and dry out, you'll put yourself in a very bad financial situation. So again, it was good for me to have, I still continue this business to this day, but definitely the property business took a while for it to start flying and start moving forward.
Yeah. And you should check some of Jaden's stuff out. He's an artist behind the camera. So yeah, for me, when I started off, I was mainly focusing on deal sourcing, and I was working a full-time job at the time. So it was work from home, so that allowed me some sort of flexibility. I was able to hit the phones during my lunch break, after work, and kind of fit things in, and just grinding away on the weekend. So work-life balance wasn't really there. But if your motivation, if your why is strong enough, something that we touched on previously, then you can make it work. And yeah, I was lucky enough to have quite a bit of savings before I transitioned into luxury real estate. But essentially, there's no shame in having something that you're doing on the side to support yourself, having a part-time job or whatnot. There's no shame in trying to kind of, when you're going through that transition process, to support yourself in some way, just to ensure that the bills are paid, because entrepreneurship is a journey, and it's not like you kind of leave your job and then start a business and then start making money straight away. So it's a process, and obviously, again, surround yourself with the right people that are going through it. You can definitely feel less lonely throughout the process.
I think there's this culture going on. I feel like for people who are entrepreneurs that 9 to 5s are dead. Thinking, you know what, 9 to 5s ain't dead. You know, like if you got a consistent income and you could be 35 or 40k plus, you're doing well for yourself. But again, if you do want to transition entrepreneurship, that consistent income is just a vehicle to, if you do it well, to pour finances into your dream. So I see people that I don't have to work to do that. They just leave their job. It's like, oh, you could have been slowly doing it until get to a point where your income from the property business is equal or if not more, then it makes sense to do it. So just use it as a vehicle so you have that extra stability. But obviously some people it works. They have to have their back against the wall. I'm pretty much, I would say, I'm geared that way because I haven't worked for someone for a very long time. I've always just been me, you know what I mean? But not everybody's like that, and I would definitely say it's more smart to have use your 9 to 5, therefore. Yeah,
for sure. And especially when you're venturing into luxury real estate, it may seem quite glamorous if you look on the Instagrams, like outside all these 9-10 million pound homes, doing house tours, nice cars, whatnot. But behind the scenes, it's a very different scenario, and it can take. It's estimated around 6 to 12 months to earn a decent income to support yourself. So during that process, obviously you're working on yourself, you're working on the business as well, but there's no shame in supporting yourself financially. Perfect. So that is episode 2. How to reinvent yourself to become a property entrepreneur. This is part 1, however, so we'll be going over a few more points in part 2. But yeah, it's been me, Jeremiah, Jaden, Reese, and we'll join you in the next one. Peace.
And that was good.